Hello, Next community. So I wanted to show you the continuing saga of the Turbo Cube Dimension. So as we know, when we left off, I couldn't get it to power up last night. And so what I did there was Command and tilde, because when you replace the BIOS battery, it default boots from a SCSI device to booting from a network. So by doing the command here and tilde key, it'll take you to a next prompt. Let's see if I can get this light a little bit less there. So at the next prompt, we're going to type in P for parameters. We're going to type in SD, so that changes it from boot EN to boot SD. I leave the DRAM tests on. Power on test, yes. You want to leave that to yes. If it's set to no, set it to yes. Sound out test, I like to hear the sound. So set that to yes. SCSI test, I like to know that the SCSI chain's working. Loop until key press, leave that to no. Verbose test mode, yes. This changes it from a graphic to a text mode. We do not want to boot extended diagnostics because we don't have the floppies in place. I've seen a lot of systems come in where they set that to yes and then the system doesn't work, it hangs. So leave that to no. Serial port, I always set that to yes. So you can actually set up another console using your serial port. I do allow any ROM command, even if password protected. I set that to yes. Allow boot device, even if password protected. I set that to yes. And optical drive eject, yes. Parity checking. For now, this only has 16 megs of RAM on the Turbo Cube board, so I'm going to leave that to no, right? I'm happy that it's just powering up. So I was communicating with Tristin. He's like, yeah, man, it worked when I shipped it. And he sent a little video. And so that was a huge relief. So I thought the best thing was, when in doubt, take it to another cube. So I did. And she powered right up. So something on my setup over there is cockaroo. But I am happy that this is booting because that makes it so much easier for me going forward. Now we have our parameters set. I'm going to power off and power back up. And when we power up, what I've done here is I've set up a little Zulu 2.0 card. It's the latest version that uses the RP2040 chip. With any luck, the SD card in it is, when it kicks over, we'll have all of my custom partitions. Oh, it looks like this one just has a single partition, which is fine. I just wanted to see this system boot too. And I've got some masters that I made, so I can pop in one that'll have all the different partitions. I have this particular Zulu card sold. And sometimes when I have a single 2 gig partition, it just makes it easier to diagnose problems like this. On that other system, I had plugged in an IBM hard drive. Now, if your hard drive has issues where something's shorting out in there, by default, Next hardware won't power up. It senses something wrong with the hard drive. This is something I found out recently. And if you're getting errors and such at boot, as well, you might just try unplugging the hard drive and then see what happens when you boot with the hard drive unplugged. Instead of it cutting out, it may actually start to boot, and then it'll say no SCSI device found or something like that. But as I say, sometimes when they're shorting out, and I've done so many projects, perhaps that IBM drive is shutting out, or they may have parked it so that it doesn't power up correctly. There's a lot of different things that could have gone on. IBM has some interesting BIOS settings that most drives do not have. They're usually pretty good drives. but to get them to work on alternative hardware can be a little bit of a chore. I know there's the Hiren's disc. It's a free disc that you can put into a PC, and it has a lot of troubleshooting and diagnostic tools, which are nice if you're trying to diagnose old SCSI drives. So here, what I call this is the penalty box. It says reboot complete, and sometimes it won't boot all the way to the operating system. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try a couple things here. I'm going to try Control D and Control C to see if there's anything latent in there, and there is not. So I suspect on this motherboard we might have a cap that's beginning to fail. As I say, what I'm going to do now, by the way, Tristin is exonerated. Okay, I was just kind of using him. I'm happy he was being a good sport. As an example, when you get the hardware, it may not be the sender's fault. As I say, it may have worked for them and then all of a sudden stopped working when sent to you for reasons unknown. I believe these little computers have hearts and souls. I can tell you right away, I had a customer send back 3 motherboards. Oh, they're all not working. And I was like, well, didn't we just do the caps on those? And he insisted on, that he had RAM. So the problem here is, you see, as I saw it right away, the RAM is up here, which it's nada. It's, you want your RAM stacked down here going this way. Here's bank 0. It won't boot correctly with the RAM up here. So I'm suspecting on all 3 boards, once I shift that RAM down to the other end, I'm going to be able to see what's actually going on. What'll happen with some of the customers, they know that I'll help them troubleshoot, but they'll panic, and then they send all this stuff back to me. And it's like, if we could just do a FaceTime video, I would have been able to tell him right away, hey, you need to put your RAM in on the other end. And I'm not even sure that's NeXT compatible RAM. So at any rate, what I did for him, I had 3 more motherboards, went ahead and sent those back out to him a while back here. And when I pulled these ones, I knew right away what it was. So Chuck, that's what the issue was. As I say, I'm a pretty easy guy to work with. And so as far as this reboot complete, it may be an issue with the motherboard or the cable, but at least I've got it powering up. So I'm going to go and power off, power back up. I'm trying to get a couple packages to the post office. And then I'm going to drop some knowledge about February 29th on my next video, because I really want to get this up and running and see if we can't troubleshoot. If it is a power supply, I know this power supply works, so I can move it over to that system just to see, because I've got it set up for a Turbo Cube dimension over there, and see if that was my issue. I'll finish cleaning that case. As I say, a lot of systems on deck. This is going to go to a professor up at Concordia University, this particular system in Canada. So I've got kind of 2 projects going here with more on the way. And hey, I really appreciate your patience and understanding, everybody. As I say, I often have to troubleshoot and diagnose the hardware as it comes in. Like me, it is aging. I'm using this walker to get around the house. I've got this printer I'm going to try and fix here as well. And I've got a couple color printers I'm going to try. So I got a bunch of cool projects coming up. As I say, the Turbo Cube Dimension going to MIT. And it's fun. So stay tuned. Have a good day. I'll talk to you. The next video will be when I return from the post office.